Lights, camera, and action. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Jesse talks all things TDCJ and military. As always, I'm your host, Jesse. I know it's been a little while since I've done a video, so kick back, relax, let me entertain you. Cheers. It had been a minute since I'd done one because I had back-to-back classes. I was the class advisor for one, and this last class was, we call them in the instructor world, special. All four of my students were, but they're headed back to the fleet. Trained them up as best I could. Let's wish them luck. Hope they'll go out, save some lives, and do the job. Yeah, everything looks good. It's a beautiful sunny day out here. I'm going to get to a couple of viewer questions, address a few little things, and tell you guys a story. Story today is going to be about chunking. What is chunking? It's got a couple of different terms: doshing, splashing, exposure. All of them mean the same thing. What happens is an inmate takes a concoction of mess, shit, piss, blood, vomit, semen, old food, anything and everything that they can mix up. They'll mix all this mess together, put it in some kind of a container. How do they get containers, Jesse? Well, from the commissary. They can buy instant coffee, peanut butter, sports drinks, and then they keep the bottle and use it as such. They'll mix all this nasty mess together. Blood, I think I forgot that one. They'll mix all that nasty mess together. And they'll either throw it on another inmate, throw it on an officer. Why the fuck they want to do something like that? Well, first off, they're fucking inmates. Okay, they're not good guys. Yeah, there's some. Anyway, there's a variety of reasons as to why they're going to do this. Number one, they've got some kind of beef with the officer. Officer did them wrong, did them dirty. They think they did them wrong, and they want to get back at them. Other times, it is considered an assault. So a lot of times they'll do that whenever they want to transfer from the housing unit, or if they just want to end up in SEG. A lot of times they've been ordered to do it by a senior inmate, a shot caller, an unofficial tender. They'll do it as one of their coming up kind of things. They have to, otherwise they're going to catch a beat down. Other times it's for an extremely nefarious reason. Where I worked at Styles is a med unit. That doesn't mean it's a nice place. I think the reasoning behind TDCJ, and this will never be admitted publicly, majority of the inmates at Styles, they all have some form of communicable disease. My conspiracy theory belief is that if they lump them all together, they control the spread of the infection. They already got it. They can give it to each other. They're going to die anyway at some point. Sorry, harsh reality, my opinion. But if they're all spread out amongst the other units, then it's like spreading a plague, spreading a virus. So in my opinion, that's the way that the state controls it. But they'll never admit to that. So, I'm going to tell you guys a recap on the story, hit on it a little bit more about the last time that I was chunked on and when I said, fuck it, I can't do this no more. It's a combination of the story of why I resigned. It was a situation where I had already clashed with the medical staff from escorting the inmate from the infirmary back to SEG. He had the seizure on me. The SSIs helped me out. Come to find out, one of them wasn't actually there to help me. One of them had it out for me, and thanks to another SSI, which I found out later on, he wasn't able to do that. But we'll make that another story later on. For this particular one, me and Campbell are working D-Pod. It was a short-lived Hispanic inmate, part of one of the Hispanic gangs. I don't know which one it was. I didn't really have a whole lot of problems with the guy, but for whatever reason, He had it out for Campbell. Now, just because you don't have a problem with an inmate, or you think you don't have a problem with an inmate, it can go south in a fucking instant. I mean, just like that. He can turn on you for no reason whatsoever. And that's what happened in this particular situation. So let's recap. Me and Campbell are working D-Pod. We're feeding trays. This guy had it out for Campbell. As we're passing out the trays, the guy had manipulated his slot. He was able to push his food slot open. He pushes it open, arms comes out, and he flings a food tray over at Campbell. Now, it did hit him. And when I say hit him, I mean like it deflected off of his vest. Technically, by the letter of the law, assault on an officer with a weapon. By the spirit of the law, chicken shit. I wrote the charge up. When we got done feeding trays, I stopped at the picket, got the list of charges, wrote it up, guy's name, guy's cell, assault on an officer, situation for it. It just so happened, unluckily for me, as I was finishing writing the paperwork, Sergeant Briscoe, who was filling in for old fat-ass Jones, who had already been transferred, was filling in for him. He came in. Hey, what's going on, Sarge? I'm just finishing up this case. And as I got done writing it up, I gave it to him. Once cases were written up, you were supposed to give it to the on-shift supervisor when you could. A lot of times we did it whenever we were leaving the shift. And they were supposed to pass it on to the next shift's supervisor, who could then investigate it. They weren't supposed to investigate it while we were on shift. In theory, it was supposed to help keep reprisal down. I don't think it ever did, though. Inmate generally knew who wrote the cases on. This guy decides to go ahead and investigate it while we're on shift. There was so much going on in D-Pod that day, I didn't get a chance to pay attention to old Briscoe. I pretty much forgot about him after I gave him the case. Me and Campbell get ready to go start slopping trays. Slopping trays is when you take the garbage can on the wheels, you roll it past the cells, pop the food slots, inmate throws the tray out, put the tray in the garbage can, roll it out down in the hallway when you're done. SSIs take it, they take it to the kitchen, they wash the trays, they get ready for the next of it. Call it slop because there'd be all kinds of nasty food on them gross-ass trays. While we're doing this, Briscoe goes over and questions the guy. Now, I don't know what was done. I don't know what was said. I wasn't there. I'm not going to speculate. I just know he went and interviewed this guy. Now, at this point, this guy knows Carter's wrote him up. Instantly hates Carter. He's got it out for me. So, while we're slopping the trays, I don't know what this guy had in his cell. He decides to go ahead and start making up a concoction. He's got it out for me. We already knew he had it out for Campbell. Let's pretend he was on the bottom tier, the furthest door you could get where there was the fire exit doors. On the first and the second tier, it went 1 through 7, fire escape door. You could pop that door, Pickett had to pop it. You could pop the door open and go into the next tier. We weren't supposed to use those doors. Once we got to number 7, we were supposed to walk all the way back the tier, come around the day room, go all the way back. Most of the time, actually not even most of the time, but sometimes we did that. Most of the time we just popped the fire escape door and went through it. It made for quicker movement. However, that was a policy violation. Anyway, the problem with where the guy was, down on the lower tier, you had the day room area. If he was in 14, 13, number 12, 13 and 14, directly behind me was the day room. Just like the wall is right here behind me, you had a portion of the day room that stuck out behind you. If you tried to back up, you'd hit the bars. You were as close as just about I am right here to the doors. You had barely an arm's length away from it. So once you were in those two doors, you were hemmed in. If the inmate in cell 13 or 14 had something for you, you couldn't back up. All you could do was go to the left. And then from there, the guy that was in, say, cell number 12, if he had something planned for you, he knew you were coming because you didn't have anywhere to go. You always had to be thinking about your escape plan. Unfortunately, it would get so busy, sometimes we didn't think about it. As we're slopping the trays, Campbell says, hey, we ain't going to go to his cell. Just leave that fucking tray in there. Somebody else can get it. I said, Roger that. We ain't even going to go there. I think he knew that we weren't going to. I don't remember his exact number. We're going to say 14. It was inside the danger zone area. We get to number 12. 12 pops his slot, drops his tray out at us. Number 13 starts yelling at me. I looked up at him and not even thinking, I stepped up to it. And while he's got my attention, I'm pretty sure him and this guy had already worked this out. While he's got my attention, I should have known this was coming. Guy pops his freaking food slot, arm comes out, and he flings a container at me. I had just enough time to look because I heard the metal of the food slot bang open. It would open, I can't bend my hand like that. It was like this, and it would open like that, and it made a slot. Stuck his arm out and threw a bottle at me, and it was full of God knows what. I looked, and I had just enough time to turn as that nasty mess just splattered all over my face, down my side. I was wearing short sleeve shirts. Should have been doing that. I was wearing short sleeves, and I did exactly what they said you're going to do in the academy when you get chunked on. You're going to look down at yourself. You're going to look back, and if they get the chance, they're going to follow right up on it. My head was turned. It splashed on me. I looked down at myself. I put my hand up to my vest. We had a slot in our vest, and that was where we kept our pepper spray. I put my hand on my vest, and just as I started to look, dude followed up with another one. I had just enough time to put my head down and close my eyes, and there it came again. All down on it. I was trying to turn, but I was stuck in by the day room. From that point, the whole freaking tier from there, it absolutely erupted. Beating, banging, hollering, screaming, yelling. Again, I don't know what was in this mess. I don't know what kind of disease this guy had. They all had something. A lot of them, they would chunk on you because they were trying to spread their disease. And if he could give me HIV, if he could give me some kind of herpes syphilitis that couldn't be cured and would kill me later on, he did his job. You couldn't go to the nurses and ask them what kind of diseases they had. HIPAA law protected them. Only thing they could do is tell you, you might want to go to the hospital and get XYZ taken care of. So, man, Campbell was just like, yeah, whatever, man. He got you. Walked away, went over to where the picket was, switched out with the picket boss for a second. There was a sink down in the bottom of the picket. There was a little toilet. Splashed some freaking water on me. Rinsed my glasses off as best I could. The picket boss had already called supervisor. Initiate ICS was what we had called it. Guess who responds to it? Briscoe. Now, I didn't know at the time that he had already investigated or started questioning the inmate. So as I'm coming out of the picket, drying myself off, I always kept a white rag in my back pocket. Sergeant Fisher taught us in the academy, that's your freaking survival tool in the penitentiary. White rag in your back pocket. Put it over your mouth. Whenever gas starts releasing, it helped pad it. Needed a sweat rag, something like that. I'm toweling myself off. Briscoe comes in, looked at him, looked at me. He's like, "What happened, boss?" "Hey, Sarge, guy got me." It's like, "You gonna write him up for it?" It's like, "I already wrote him up once. I don't know if the second one's really gonna do any good." "Well, if you write it up, I'll investigate it." Sergeant Como on the evening shift, he's gonna have to do that. No, go ahead. I'll take care of it. No, not gonna write it up. I didn't tell him at the time that that's when I knew that he had investigated it. I didn't say that to him, but partially because I was so freaking pissed. I was more mad at him than I was the freaking inmate. Otherwise, that probably wouldn't have happened. That was my Friday shift. When I went home, I got home, I had some beers. I had a little more than that. Next day that I woke up, contacted the recruiter. I already knew that I wanted to go back on active duty in the Coast Guard. I just needed something to trigger it. That was what had triggered it. Chunking is just absolutely disgusting. Not only is it disgusting, it's dangerous. But inmates do it all the freaking time. The problem with it, if I had done what I was getting ready to do, if Campbell hadn't stopped me, if I'd have taken my pepper spray out and I'd have gone to his cell and hosed him down, he would have had a legitimate excessive force assault case on me that I could have been arrested for. Not only walked off, but arrested for and put in that same place for that. That's the shit that COs have to deal with. Inmates have the advantage in those situations, and they know that shit. And he used it to get over on me. Guys, really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. A couple of questions from some of my viewers. A lot of them have asked, how can they contact me? I put my contact info on my YouTube page. If you go to the About and you click on Contact, it lists my email address. I guess maybe people don't know how to get to that. But anyway, I'm going to link it down below how you can get in touch with me. I'm not going to put my phone number out here, but I will leave my email address. It's ice21cold@hotmail.com. I've had that email address since I was 21 years old. I refuse to change it. As ridiculous as it sounds, it didn't. 22, yeah, it didn't sound that 22 years ago. You guys can email me directly. I've had a lot of people message me on Facebook. I have my Facebook, it's obviously under my name, Jesse Carter, and you can tell who I am by the Coast Guard uniform. A lot of people message me on Facebook, but unfortunately I don't get the message because I have my privacy settings set up so high, it sends it into a filter that I have to respond to. I don't get any kind of a notification. There's a little red exclamation point. A lot of times I don't see it. I don't use Messenger a whole lot. I don't use Facebook too terribly much. But every now and again I'll see that message. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if they're spam, if they're fake profiles, if they're legit individuals. So I'm very wary about who I reply to on Facebook, because once you reply to a message, it's free game for the individual to start messaging you. So I recommend, if you do want to contact me, shoot me an email. I'll leave that down below. I had an individual ask me, did I ever apply for sergeant or lieutenant? Well, unfortunately, no. I really wish, looking back now, that I would have. I had every intention of climbing the ranks. I wanted to be that sergeant with those sergeant chevrons on their sleeves. Horribly pissed they took that away. Yeah, they wear it up on their collars, but the sergeant was the one who was the most identifiable by those chevrons on the sleeves. I wanted to be that guy. That didn't happen. Just didn't work out that way. Guy that just talked to me, going back for his second stretch, dude, I hope that works out for you. I really do. The ones of you that are academy bound, guys, I hope it's working out for you. Ones that are thinking about the career, hey, regardless of what I've said, apply for it. Go ahead and take the plunge. Go see what it's like. Go see how it is. Maybe it'll work out for you. Hey, if it doesn't, you can say you tried. You'll at least have the experiences. Those of you that did have long careers in this, man, start doing some videos. Get the experiences out of what it was like walking the tiers and dealing with these guys. There's plenty of inmates that are doing their own videos on here. I wanted to get it out from the CO perspective. Lastly, I had a video request. An individual asked me, could I show how to starch and iron uniforms and how to put a good spit shine on the boots. I'm not going to do one on the uniforms. I actually don't even own an ironing board and an iron anymore. I typically use, for my uniform, I'm jerking my head toward my uniform hanging up over there like you guys can see it. I typically use the cleaners when I am going to look sharp. Otherwise, I work out on the boats. I'm constantly exposed to salt water. I don't iron a uniform anymore. I stay a hot mess because of the instruction that I do. However, I do maintain my boots. I keep a good polish on them. That's helped keep the, deterioration down to the boots. There's nothing worse for leather boots than salt water. So I do wash them off. I do keep them shined. I will show a video of me doing that. It might be a little bit boring, but I will show an instructional video of how to start with a boot, get a good shine built up on it, and then from there, the main thing you need is a lot of patience to get that going. Folks, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I do have a little bit of a break coming up in classes, but it's going to be a busy week next week. Monday, we got our PT test, physical training test. Every 6 months, we got to do that thing. It's at my age, it's a 1.5 mile run in 14 minutes. I got to do something like 25 sit-ups in a minute, and I think 25 push-ups in a minute, something like that. It's not that difficult. It's a lot more difficult than the PAT at TDCJ. And then from there, I got a lot of admin stuff going on. So I don't know when I'll get to the next video. I'm going to prep one boot so it's already done, and then I'll have the other one ready so I can use as a showcase. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Everyone take care, stay safe. It's springtime finally. Let's enjoy it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Carter's out.